Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I'm excited just to bring you along for the morning and as well as give you a health update that I have not talked about on YouTube at all. I've recently been diagnosed with a disease that has been affecting me heavily in the last year, and it's been really difficult because there's no one test that would tell us what it was. It was watching multiple tests for a long time to finally get the diagnosis, and now I've officially started treatment, so let's make some breakfast, get this day going, and fill you guys in on life. I'm thinking for breakfast, I'm just gonna have toast, eggs, and strawberries. This toast I have been obsessed with recently, Carbonat. It's like a low carb bread, but it's got high fiber, only 9 grams of carbs and 7 grams of protein. It's a little bit more expensive, but it comes in the freezer and I normally store mine in the fridge so it lasts for a really long time. So I've been obsessed with having this. And my other tip to be just snacking more healthy recently, because especially with my health stuff, a big thing is just, I mean, I've always had a clean diet, but like being very particular now is just having fresh cut fruit all the time that's pre-washed, ready to go, and I can just like nibble on it all day. As well as strawberries are the best thing to cover up the taste of my medication because it is literal poison. I actually think for the eggs I'm gonna do some hard-boiled. That's gonna take a while, so we're just gonna start with the toast and get that going because I gotta take my meds. So I'm just having toast with this light cream cheese. Okay, so first things first is I have to take 40 milligrams of prednisone. So that's 8 tablets. These literally taste like poison, and they're not in a capsule, they're just like in this. So they get stuck on your tongue, and it actually makes me want to die and vomit all at the same time. So 8 of those, and then I also am taking an omega-3 vitamin, multivitamin. So typically I like to have a few bites of this first because you're not supposed to have this on an empty stomach. So I'll have some bread, and then I'll take the meds, down it with some water, and then move on to the strawberries because that covers it all up. I normally take 4 at a time. Here we go. Ugh. Almost done. Oh. Okay. No strawberries. Okay. Now I can enjoy. Okay, so I'm gonna give you guys the rundown of my health now. So how this all started was last February when I was in LA. I was having this episode of chest pains for like 2 days, and it got really bad one night. I couldn't sleep at all. We ended up going to the emergency room the next day. They ran a bunch of tests. My liver enzymes were really high. They actually thought I was passing a gallbladder stone, which didn't turn out to be that, but I was in the hospital for about 2 days. Got sent home, came back to Canada, started doing further testing. My liver enzymes just continued to essentially go up. The ALT was up to about 600 and the regular person is under 30. So that is like very bad. That's when I got connected to a specialist. I had a liver biopsy as well. And it turns out the first thing we found out is that I have chronic liver disease and cirrhosis on my liver, which is permanent and essentially causes your liver to then go into liver failure. So she told me I was already in early liver failure. My liver could shut down at any moment. I needed to get the inflammation down, needed to start medication, but I just didn't understand why this was happening because I felt totally fine. I had no symptoms. I had tons of energy. I was sleeping great. I wasn't jaundiced. I didn't have any more of those episodes where I was feeling anything different in my body. The only thing that was telling me that something was wrong was my blood work. So I tried everything naturally, from completely changing my diet, changing my workout routines, everything I could possibly do. And we did see the numbers start to go down a little bit, but then out of nowhere, staying with the same regimen, they started to go back up. And apparently, when you have so much inflammation, it can be hard to test positive for autoimmune trackers, because that's kind of what they were then starting to look at. And so I had tested negative for them originally, and then by the time my inflammation went a little bit down, we were able to test for those again. And finally, a year later, I tested positive for autoimmune, and my specialists have now diagnosed me with autoimmune hepatitis. So essentially what's happening in my body, my white blood cells, which are supposed to attack viruses, are confused and they're attacking my healthy liver. And that's how we got here. It wasn't from anything that I took, it wasn't from anything that I ate. There's no exact pointer on what triggers autoimmune. It looks like I actually started having some elevated enzymes all the way back in 2019 that no doctors caught. So it could have been essentially inflamed since 2019. And I just started looking at it in 2023, which is 4 years after that. Essentially this year I've been chronically inflamed. I did agree to start steroid treatment. So we started off on the Entocort. That one is essentially a steroid that you take. It pretty much only activates in your liver and then goes out unactivated. That one wasn't cutting it quick enough. I took it for about 2 weeks and there was zero progress. I just continued to go up. So I had to switch to prednisone, which is now, you guys saw I was taking that medication. That's what I'm on now at 40 milligrams a day. I'm in a very delicate place right now because if my liver enzymes don't start going down, I will be hospitalized is the next step within the next 2 weeks. I'm praying and believing that's not gonna happen. My last test result from Monday, I'm filming this now on Friday, I just took another blood work this morning, but my ones from Monday showed my ALT going down for the first time. So we are just in desperate need to get this inflammation under control. I have no idea the state that my liver is in from it being so bad now for a while. I've got an ultrasound scheduled for a month from now, which I'll be able to get a better look at my liver then too. And yeah, it's just been a crazy journey because I am so healthy. I've always been so healthy. I've always taken care of my health. I've always eaten well. I've always exercised a lot. I've always been really cautious of how I treat my body. And for some reason, I still ended up with this. So apparently it's super, super rare. It's like 4 out of 100,000 people can get it, and it manifests in women at childbearing age. So it would have been it would totally make sense in my case that that's it. My long-term plan is obviously I don't like being on medication. I don't like taking something that's that intense. And it took me a long time to accept it because they told me it could mess with my fertility, and there was just a bunch of different fear going along with it, but then also the inflammation can affect my fertility, and you guys know I've always wanted to start my family, so that's been really difficult. But it just got to a point where I just needed to take care of my body because otherwise I could die and my liver could fail. So first things first, and I'm just gonna trust God with the future with that. But yeah, so it's really been just taking things one day at a time. That's why social media has been so weird for me this year, because I feel like there's always something I can't quite share with you guys yet, and so it's hard to show up and be this positive person all the time when I have some very real stuff going on. So if you've been following me on my other platforms, I've been trying to be a little bit more real and honest over there because it's just really hard to be somebody that you're not in this season, and this year has looked very different for me than most years of my life. So it's been difficult to adapt and to continue to show up, but I feel great. I feel like I'm kind of finally at the point now that I finally have the diagnosis. I have started treatment. I'm hopefully on my route to healing, and I just feel really covered in prayer from my church and my people, and so I feel really hopeful about the situation, but it still doesn't make the situation easy to deal with. That's that update. It's been crazy, but I'm excited to finally share it with you guys so I can kind of bring you along for this journey with me. Next on the agenda today is I'm gonna get ready to work out, and yeah, let's keep going. Another thing about taking prednisone, which has been really hard, is there's over 150 negative side effects. So I've been doing pretty well. I'm going on week 3 on them right now. I haven't gotten any insomnia or jitters or any of that. I haven't gotten the moon face yet. I've been very careful. I've been drinking so much water because although it seems counterproductive, I guess, water retention is really big, but it happens when you're dehydrated. So I've been trying to drink just so much water that my body never feels the need to store it. Also being very cautious of my sodium intake, making sure I'm staying under 2,000 milligrams a day, less if I can. But that also helps, and then having lemon water helps. So I've been very proactive to try to avoid that, but it certainly makes me feel different in my workout clothes. So we're gonna just wear what I'm comfortable in. But it's definitely been difficult to feel like, I feel like I've always been so in control of my body and the way that I look, and right now it's just so out of my control. However, I've still been sticking to my habits, and I do still feel and feel good, but I don't feel the same. So it's just kind of like this weird space. I'm gonna wear these shorts, white shorts. And then I need a sports bra. I think I'm just gonna do it with this white sports bra and then maybe do like an oversized tee. I'm also just so incredibly horribly white right now. Like, especially after the last year, I lived in California for most of the winter. And my gosh, am I see-through. I desperately need some sun. That's actually my plan for today. I gotta finish off my taxes, so I'm hoping to do that lying in the sun later. White socks. Okay, now for pre-workout. Something I have learned so much, especially in going through my health stuff, is making sure I'm using a supplement company that's third-party tested and safe. Means the products actually go through the proper testing and they actually have what the labels say in them, as well as making sure the flavor is natural, making sure there's no added preservatives or alternatives or anything of that sort. And that's why I love using Transparent Labs. They have literally saved my life this last 2 years that I've been using them. So I'm using today the Stim Free just because I've been cutting down on my caffeine intake. So I'm not gonna be taking the lean, but the lean is really, really good. It's also great if you are looking to cut down a little bit. Just like that. Okay, so I just finished up my workout. I didn't end up filming the rest, but I did a 5-kilometer run and then about 45 minutes of weights after. So this has been my favorite post-workout smoothie recently. All I do is bananas, spinach, kale, milk, and then French vanilla protein from Transparent Labs. There's 28 grams of protein per scoop. It's third-party tested, no artificial sweeteners, coloring, it's gluten-free, and no preservatives. So this is a great option for protein. I put it in baking, smoothies, literally everything. And then my trick with green smoothie is to put cinnamon in it because it literally covers up any taste of greens. And this is just a really simple, light, and healthy and nutritious smoothie for after the gym. So that's what I'm gonna make. Normally I do only one banana, but those are really small and skinny, so. I also thought I had more spinach, but typically I will literally like pack as much as I can because I find you can't really taste spinach, especially when you add in the cinnamon. So I typically do way more than that, but I guess I'll just have to double up on the kale. So good. Okay, I'm gonna end this video here. I'm so glad I was finally able to update you guys with everything that's going on, and I will officially be back on YouTube with weekly vlogs consistently. I know I've said that a million times, but I feel like every time I get back onto it, something else happens or my health took a turn. But this is just my most vulnerable and most easy way to share with you guys because it's less filtered and it's just more of what my days and what my life is actually looking like now. And so I'm excited to be back on here and just reconnect with you guys. Thanks for joining. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe and turn on my post notifications, and I will see you guys next week.